Hi people, how you going? My name's Kathryn Wilkes. I run the No Cashless Debit Card Australia group here on Facebook, and I've been fighting along with Amanda from St. 07 for the last 7 years to stop the card, to stop the human rights abuse, to stop the vilification of people on social security. Today I'm doing this because I want to express to people how I feel being a recipient of a payment in this country, and how people like Malcolm Roberts and Pauline Hanson, and others like Centre Alliance, what they've done and how they make us feel when they voted our rights away in the Senate, and those that fail to stand up for our human rights. It's windy out here. I'm sorry if that's going to cause a problem with the noise or whatever. I'll do my best. I'm very angry at the moment. I'm very upset because we don't have any rights in this country to protect people on social security from vilification under the anti-discrimination laws. And I want that. We need that. Nobody in this country should be discriminated against on the basis of your income source. And no one should be allowed to get away with it. And more so, we should not have senators in Parliament that can stand up and say, if you're on welfare, you have no rights. Senators and MPs should have no rights to take away our legal protections in Australian law or block our human rights under international human rights charters. Okay? I am a citizen of this country. I have the paperwork to prove it. Right? This damn paperwork is worthless. Same as my daughter's birth certificate's worthless. Because if you move into the postcode of where there's a cashless debit card, your rights have been taken away from you in legislation. Your consumer rights, your legal protections under the Social Security Act, Commonwealth Law 1991-1999, Protections of Payments Act, has been gotten around. Your privacy rights, your autonomy, your statutory rights have all been removed so that you can be contracted to a private company for profits, sold off, and then belittled and shamed in public. You've got the druggie card. Enough of the vilification. Enough. I saw a video today, Malcolm Roberts banging on about, it's for the children are getting fed. No, it's for the profits of the private stakeholders and the shareholders. You don't remove those children's human rights and their statutory rights and their privacy rights and take away their parents' rights. You have no right to do that. You're not there in the Senate to do that. You're in the Senate as a privileged position. You're supposed to be honourable members. You're supposed to protect the human rights of all Australians, not some that you deem worthy or not worthy. The language I heard coming off this page is the undeserving and the deserving poor. I'm over that. We want better than that. And I put it to Labor. Yes, you're going to scrap this card when you get in. But I want to change to the Anti-Discrimination Act. I'm tired of ringing up a lawyer and saying, we can't help you because you're on Social Security. There are no laws to protect Social Security recipients against vilification, bullying, harassment, to the point where people end their lives. We want better protections. We're Australian citizens. And to allow policies that go through the Parliament and get assented into law that officially remove the protections in law for citizens, what is that saying? Is that saying we're no longer citizens? Is that what it's saying? That we're a lesser citizen? That we don't have the rights in law? The rule of law and non-discrimination doesn't apply for us? That it's okay for vilification to take place from the Senate, from the media, and we just have to put up with it and be welfare bashed and kicked around like we're some people, rubbish on the bottom of somebody else's shoe. Well, I'm over it. I'm 53 years of age. I came to this country as a child with my parents for a better life. My parents worked hard. They were never wealthy. Things didn't pan out well for them. My parents have passed, right? But I'm still here. I didn't ask to get hurt at work. I was working my ass off. I was doing everything right. Working, everything. I still pay taxes like everybody else in this country. I'm over. It's my tax dollars. Because guess what? It's my tax dollars too that are being wasted to hurt vulnerable Australians. To hurt my friends and my family around the country, because all you've got to do is move into the wrong postcode. That's all you've got to do. Okay? The card may not be in your region today, but if the LNP and One Nation get back in, it will be tomorrow. Right? And it's not about what payment you're on. It's the postcode you live in. It's not about your character or what you do or how you raise your children. It's about profits. Okay? And keeping the Murdoch media vilification of people who are on low incomes, low paid workers, disabled, sick, caring, students, unemployed, the works. Enough is enough, and I'm calling out the Murdoch media too. But I'm calling out a challenge to Labor. Simple as that. Yep, you say you can scrap the card, and I believe you will. But you need to enshrine some protections for us as Australian citizens in law, under the Anti-Discrimination Act, that no one in this country can be vilified for whatever their income source is. Australian social security and pensions are legal income in law. They are what determines a person's fiscal worth in the banking and trade sector, right? And that should never be allowed to be interfered with in any way, shape or form. And let alone have a private company usurp 80% of that income, leaving the person listed as a pauper for any of their transactions that they need to do with the bank or finance sector. Listed now as, financial risk, because they're in financial hardship when they may not be. Okay? Enough is enough. It's windy out here, I'm sorry. And I might get a little bit more upset about this, but this is what we need, and I need people to get behind me on this really loud, because this policy has the ability to affect 6.6 million Australians. We are not for sale. Not to Indue, not to Northern Territory Credit Union, right? The Anti-Discrimination Act is supposed to protect people, under, race, colour of their skin. But what's happened to our First Nations Aboriginal people over the last 16 years with Basics card? It's not strong enough. It needs to be better. We need an Anti-Discrimination Act to protect against the vilification of people on Social Security. We still deserve dignity. We're still Australian citizens. We're still real human beings. We are not cannon fodder and profit makers for corporations to make money out of us. Because while all these different places are making money off our backs and their staff are getting huge salaries, we're dying out here. We're starving out here. We're going homeless out here. People live in poverty. Children are missing out. But to put people on a cashless debit card and kick them even further? No. No more. No more. I have to do this outside because it's not safe to do it in my house. See this? See this? See what it says? It says Citizen Certification of Australian Citizen. To Pauline Hanson, to Malcolm Roberts. Right? Probably won't be able to do it because it's too windy. This is what you've done to citizens' rights and protections in human rights. This is what you've done. How dare you? You had no right to do this to people. Right? You have no right to do this to people. At no time in my life in Australia should I feel that this document is worthless. I was so proud to receive this document on the 19th of November 1986, and I will stand up for it, right? But what they've done, this is what they've done. When Pauline Hanson screams, if you're on welfare, you have no rights. This is what they're doing to your birth certificate, your citizens' rights. So I want them enshrined in law. I want it enshrined in law. And now I'm going to burn myself, right? Probably going to start a fire, but you know, uh-oh. I have a problem. Oh no, it's okay. Hang on, I have a problem. Good, it's gone out. I've had enough. My patience, I've had enough, right? My citizenship means something to me. I'm over 50 years of age. I worked hard and I got injured at work. I should not be stigmatised. I should not be vilified. I should not be segregated from community or looked down upon or abused or trolled and constantly told I'm worthless. Ever. People with disabilities on this card should never be treated like shit, and that's it. Nobody should be treated like the way they're being treated, right? Australian citizenship should mean that you are equal under law, not sold to a private company, right? Not destroyed by people who seem to think that they have the privilege of telling me that they're better than me because they've had the privilege of having good health and being able to work in well-paid jobs, right? Where there's people out here working 2 and 3 jobs and still being treated like crap and on the cashless debit card. There's people out here who can't work. There's people out here working 24/7, 365 days a year, carers, but they get vilified too. There's people in their over 50s who ageism can't get work that are treated like you're a druggie. Enough is enough. I'm over it. And I'm demanding that if Labor get into government, we want some vilification laws for the rights of Social Security recipients. It is a right in this country for a citizen to be able to claim a Social Security benefit if they are eligible for it. So therefore, that right needs to be backed up with anti-vilification laws so that they can't be discriminated against, spat on and abused, like I have been, for receiving that legal payment. Nobody should be shamed about receiving a payment, right? Least of all, sold off to Indue and put on a cashless debit card and forced to jump through their hoops and only be allowed to do what they say and have condescending little snipes on the phone, right, running people down. Enough is enough. I'm over it. Do something about it. Do something about it. As for Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts, right, and I'll say something about Sun Reliance in a minute, I'm over you dividing this country using your xenophobia and your hate, right, to constantly divide people in this country, right? Your Christian right-wing views, right, drive me nuts. The fact that I am a lesser person and I have no rights in your views, you have no place in the Senate of this country if you're not going to help lift up the people of this country fairly and squarely. You have no respect for people that are doing it tough. You have no respect for people that are sick, right, old. You just smash them all. And I hope you get voted out because you're telling people freedoms while you're legislating freedoms away and human rights away and legal protections away for legal citizens in this country, right? But you're running around the country screaming, my body, my choice, which you stole from the, you stole that phrase in regards to women's reproductive health that you don't support anyway. So please, you know, I've had a gut full of it. Now, to Rebecca Sharkey, I sat up all night and I watched that religious discrimination bill. And you stood up against it. You put your amendment through. Very well played by Labor, right? And I'm not impressed with the Greens, okay? But you put it through and you got your amendment passed. As soon as that happened, right, the Greens stood up, they had the same amendment, and they removed it because you'd already got yours passed. Followed by Mark Dreyfus, who stood up, who also had the same amendment, but because it had already been passed and supported by Labor, okay, because they helped pass it, they withdrew it because there's no point in everybody putting in the same amendment when it's already been passed. Okay? Labor fought very hard and played a very different game to protect the non-vilification of people under the Sexual Discrimination Act to protect kids, to protect LGBTQI and trans. Now we want the same for people on Social Security, please. Non-vilification of people who are in receipt of Social Security payments. We should be able to take some actions when people do it to us. But there is nothing in the anti-discrimination laws around the country that protect us. Okay? So I'm asking that somebody do something about this. I want my rights protected. I want my human rights protected. I want that for everybody. Right? And I want it equally, without stigma nor shame, as Menzies said. Right? When he was UAP 1931 to 1945 and then became the Liberal Party onwards, right? Menzies was the man that said should be able to receive your entitlements without shame. Okay? But the Liberals have lost their way, and we've got fanatical people that are right wing that feel that people on Social Security are lesser people, and we're not. We make up 25% of the population of this country, and our kids are growing up in poverty, and they're growing up despondent and without hope because they didn't have opportunities that were passed 30 and 40 and 50 years ago. We need to change this. So my proposal is an act to amend the anti-discrimination laws and to include vilification of people on Social Security, and so they can be protected, so that we're not vilified, bullied, harassed. Our kids don't get called povo, and parents that are seen using the cashless debit card at the moment are called druggies. No, not on. Not on. The cashless debit card needs to go. I'm over it. I'm over it so bad. I'm over the fact that somebody... I've got cardholders in distress. I'm over the fact, the fear of if LNP come in, my rights go in the bin, my human rights go in the bin, I go in the bin. Right? And everybody around me in my town and every other town, and my daughter and everybody else. Right? Pauline Hanson, you made me feel like my citizenship are worthless. That's why I burnt a copy of it. I'm not stupid. I didn't burn my original paperwork. But I burnt a copy of it to represent the fact you and your likes, right, stole it. You've stolen it and you put it in law. And you have no right to do that. You have no right to do that. You're elected to protect and stand up for things that are supposed to be positive for your constituents, not negative. Right? And as for Rebecca Sharkey and Sterling Griff's little stunt on the 9th of December 2020, you stood up really well for trans kids and the rights underneath the anti-discrimination, you know, the vilification under the Sexual Discrimination Act. Why can't you stand up now? Why did you not stand up for against vilification of people on Social Security? Why did you not stand up for my human rights and all the rights of the 15,000 that are on the card now, and all the rights of all the Aboriginal people that are facing this in the Northern Territory, and the rights of the aged pensioners in the Cape York? Why didn't you not stand up for their human rights and stand up against vilification of those people, instead of making a backroom deal with Anne Ruston and the LNP? It's not good enough. Why are you picking and choosing which Australians are protected against vilification and which ones aren't? Alright? That's all I've got to say. Share this video, please. Okay? And, yeah, if anybody wants to copy it down for me, please do. I don't know how to. Thank you. Let's stop the card, people. Okay? That's all I can ask. Stop the card. Stop the card.